Multiplicative property of inequality with signed fractions. You might remember when you were dealing with fractions and equalities, if you had something like 3/4 x equals, let's say, 9. The way that you solved this was multiplying both sides of the equation by the reciprocal of the coefficient on the x. So the coefficient on the x is 3/4. The reciprocal of 3/4 is just that fraction flipped upside down. That's going to end up canceling everything. So the 4's cancel, the 3's cancel, which gives you just your x by itself. So you get x equals 9 times 4/3 is going to be 36/3, which is 12. We can use that same idea to solve inequalities. So let's go ahead and look at 6/7 u as less than or equal to 10. We want to get the u by itself. So if we multiply both sides of this inequality by the reciprocal of 6/7, which is 7/6, these 6's cancel, these 7's cancel, which will give us our u by ourselves. We multiplied by a positive number, which means the inequality's direction will not change. 10 times 7 is 70/6, which does reduce. And you could use your calculator to reduce, or you could note that the top and the bottom are both divisible by 2. So 70 divided by 2 is going to be 35. And 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3. So our answer, the one that Alex wants, is u is less than or equal to 35. On a number line, the way that we would draw this, you would just label 35/3 wherever you want. And then the same way that we've done all of our number line answers, we have a less than or equal to sign. So that means we're using a closed circle on our number line. And then it's less than, so we're shading the less than side. Negative infinity's down here, positive infinity's up here. Right. This is a topic called, I think, set builder and interval notation, I think, goes over this, how to draw the number line, and then how to write your answer in interval notation. So if this is unfamiliar, take a look at that topic in Alex. Reading from left to right on the number line, we start with negative infinity. We always use parentheses on our infinities. And then it goes up to 35/3. We have a closed circle, which translates to a bracket. So that's our answer for this first problem. All right, let's try another one. As a note, Alex is going to only ask for the inequality answer, so that would be like this answer here. It's not going to ask for this part, but we ask for it on the exam, which is why I am going to be doing it in my answers. So here we have negative 9/4 y is greater than or just strictly greater than -6. I'm going to go ahead and take this and pull it down a little bit so I can work with it. I want to get rid of the coefficient on the y, which means I need to multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of negative 9/4 is 4/-9, and I do it on both sides. This will cancel the 4's, it cancels the negative 9's. Because I'm multiplying by a negative number, see there's a negative sign there? We're multiplying by a negative number on both sides. That means that instead of keeping the direction the same, we flip it. We flip the direction. So it points to the left now instead of the right. You're just left with a y here. -6 times 4/-9, you could do that in your calculator. If you multiply a negative and a negative together, it's going to be a positive. I'm just going to do this one by hand because I can. So 6 times 4 is 24/9. This simplifies. 24 and 9 are both divisible by 3, so 24 divided by 3 is 8. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So y is less than 8/3 is our answer. On a number line, I'm labeling 8/3. We have no underline on our inequality. It's just strictly less than, so I'm doing an open circle. The less than direction is going to be to the left. Reading our inequality, or our number line rather, from left to right, it's going to start at negative infinity, which we always use a parenthesis on, and then it goes up to 8/3. It's an open circle, so we're using a parenthesis on the 8/3 part of things. So there's my interval answer and my number line answer, which Alex won't ask for, and my inequality answer, which Alex will ask for. Let's try one more. So this one's kind of interesting. You may be tempted right now to look at negative 10 over 9 greater than 16w and say, I'm going to multiply by 9 over negative 10 on both sides. But what you're looking at is the number in front of the variable. So the number in front of the variable is 16. To get rid of 16, normally we would divide both sides by 16. And that's fine. You can do that and cancel the 16s. But when you go to divide over here, this is going to be something that's a little more difficult to deal with. Your calculator can deal with it. If you put it in your calculator with parenthesis negative 10 divided by 9 and parenthesis, then divide by 16, you'll get the right answer. But that's a little bit more than maybe we want to do right this moment. So let me talk about how to deal with this. 16 is the same thing as 16 over 1. Let me rewrite this as negative 10 over 9 is greater than 16 over 1w. Now I can multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 16 over 1. The reciprocal of 16 over 1 is 1 over 16. We are multiplying by a positive number. I realize I erased a little bit there. We're multiplying by a positive number, which means our inequality will not change direction. These 16s cancel, and I guess you could think of the 1s as canceling as well, so it's just a w left over here. On the other side, we have 1 over 16 multiplied by negative 10 over 9. 1 times negative 10 is negative 10. 16 times 9, I'm going to grab a calculator for, is 144. I know that 10 and 144 are both divisible by 2. Now you could put it in your calculator. If you put negative 10 over 144 into your calculator, it will reduce it for you. But if you wanted to do it by hand, these are both divisible by 2. So negative 10 divided by 2 is going to give you negative 5. 144 divided by 2 is going to give you 72. So you should get negative 5 over 72 as a reduced fraction. The direction of the inequality stays the same. We want to write it so that our w is on the left. So notice that the inequality was pointed towards the w to begin with. We want to make sure it stays pointed towards the w. And that's our answer. For our number line, I can plot negative 5 over 72 wherever I want. There's no underline on the inequality, so it's an open circle. We want to shade all the numbers less than it, so we shade to the left. In interval notation, your inequality is going to go from negative infinity all the way up to negative 5 over 72. Infinities always get parentheses. And then open circles get parentheses. So this is my interval answer, is negative infinity to negative 5 over 72. So in a lot of ways, these are just like solving equalities. The only thing you really have to be careful about is if you physically multiply by a negative on both sides, you just need to flip the direction. So here we had to multiply by a negative on both sides. We flipped the direction. Here we didn't. This last one, we had a negative on one side, but when we multiplied, we were multiplying by a positive number, which is why we didn't have to flip it. It stayed the same direction from here to here. Also, make sure you simplify your answers. Doesn't have to be by hand. You could totally do this using a calculator. All right, that's all I have for you. Keep on going.